I think that somebody had to fall on the sword, and that was Daryl Morey. And I think what it shows, what it reveals about where the Sixers are at, is that they put the blame of the Sixers season more on roster construction and talent construction rather than coaching. I don't think Daryl Morey is the person that is most at fault. I don't think Nick Nurse is the person that is most at fault. I don't think any of the players are most at fault. When a team fails and they don't reach their goal, it is a collective effort. There is a person above Daryl Morey, above Nick Nurse, above Joel Embiid, above Tyrese Maxey that calls the shots, and that is Joshua Harris. They should have traded Andre Drummond. They should have done something else, but they traded Jared McCain, and it was one of the dumbest moves ever. Jared McCain currently has the highest three-point percentage in NBA postseason history. Hold up, it gets better. Jared McCain had the highest three-point percentage in a single playoff series in OKC history. Jared McCain has the second highest three-point percentage in a single playoff series in NBA history. Trading Jared McCain at the deadline was one of the final daggers for Daryl Morey. But the ironic part about it is that Joshua Harris instructed him to get under the tax. I say all this to say that you have to win with young players on rookie contracts. That is the new way of team building in the NBA. And Daryl Morey has failed to do that. He has not executed that strategy. And on top of that, Daryl Morey is actually on the other end. He's on the opposite side of the spectrum. He says that you need 3 big superstars and that the rest of the team can just be like fill-in-the-gap players. That is not how you can build a team anymore in the modern day. And ultimately, that is why Daryl Morey was fired. And I think the biggest mistake by Daryl Morey was not the Paul George contract, was not trading Jared McCain. It was giving Joel Embiid a 3-year, $193 million contract extension a year and a half before his contract ran up, when you had consulted and he had openly admitted that he had consulted with 9 doctors who all told Daryl Morey that Joel Embiid's knee would never be the same. And he said, you know what? I'm going to go right ahead anyway and give him the 3-year extension, when Joel was actually on a really good contract, which would be over right now. Joel's contract would be no more, and the Sixers would actually have a very bright future. So 11 seasons with the Golden State 12 to May of 23. So 11 seasons with the Golden State Warriors, and he won 4 NBA titles. And he built an absolute stacked team, one of the best teams ever. Prior to 2016, the Warriors added a president of basketball ops to Myers' title, and he reported directly to majority owner Joe Lacob. So a lot of people in the conversation will say that Joe Lacob started to call a lot of the shots, and that Bob Myers wasn't the main guy, and that some of those titles were more so Joe Lacob than Bob Myers. That, to me, from my understanding, is where the gray area is. Like, how much did Bob Myers do versus Joe Lacob? Nonetheless, you can't take it away from Bob Myers. He was named Executive of the Year after signing Kevin Durant, David West, Zaza Pachulia, and JaVale McGee in the 2016 offseason. He won 2 Executive of the Year titles in 3 seasons, and the Warriors had a 67-15 record after that second one. So for next season, Joel Embiid, estimated $58 million next year. Woo! Oh my gosh, man. $58 million. Anyway, Paul George, $54 million next season. Tyrese Maxey, I think he's on a pretty good rookie max contract, 40.7. It's not terrible. Think about the cap appreciation, the value of these contracts. 40 is not bad. But 54 and 58 for Joel Embiid, who's probably going to play 30 or less games? Oh, Lord. And then it goes to 62, and then it goes to 67. Do you see these numbers here, man? I was listening to a Bobby Marks breakdown earlier today, and I think he said it was 87% of the cap allocated to the top 4 players. That is Joel Embiid, Paul George, Tyrese Maxey, and VJ Edgecombe. 87%. How are you supposed to sign any other players, especially when your owner is instructing you to stay below the luxury tax line? It's almost impossible. And that right there, ladies and gentlemen, is why when you freaks come out and say, well, Jared McCain wasn't going to have a role anyway. We got the 22nd pick in the draft. We got a second round pick. I don't care. I'm not saying Jared McCain was going to be a superstar, but he showed you that he had something there. The Quentin Grimes thing is insane. You can't re-sign Quentin Grimes unless he gets a minimum contract. And even then, I don't know if I would re-sign him. So you had a guard on a rookie contract, a favorable contract, a guy that was 20 years old, that can shoot, that can handle the rock. I mean, that is like exactly what you want right now. And you gave him away. Now, maybe you bring in the 22nd pick and maybe he's a stud. And maybe you get lucky and bada boom, bada bing, things are good. Perfect. I hope that happens. But that is nowhere near a guarantee. You had a really good player in Jared McCain that could at least contribute off the bench, that was coming back from an injury, and you gave him away. I don't trust Quentin Grimes. Who else can you really bring back? Look at the rest of this roster, man. These are the types of players that you can afford when the top four takes up 87% of your cap. Dalen Terry, Trendon Watford, Dominic Barlow, Justin Edwards, Adem Bona. You're not going to be able to bring anyone else in. RB, do you think it's best we get a guy from a successful organization like the Thunder or Spurs rather than a retreat, or do you want a proven GM? Good question. I kind of alluded to that earlier. So my ideal guy would be someone that's young, fearless, probably somebody from one of those organizations like the Thunder, Spurs, somebody that's been around a successful team that has watched someone build something successfully. I wouldn't be opposed to the Bob Myers thing just because of his success, and I feel like he has a ton of experience. But overall, like my top priority, my top choice, I want someone that's young and fearless and is a quick riser, on the come up. Nobody really knows about him. I'm tired of getting these proven people, whether it's the coach, whether it's the GMs. I'm tired of that. I want someone who's on the come up, who's going to be a quick riser and, just a very knowledgeable basketball mind that understands the cap, that understands how to navigate the new CBA and all of that stuff. What if the 76ers went to Jeff Lurie and tried to convince him to buy the 76ers? Would Jeff Lurie have an interest in trying to buy the 76ers from Joshua Harris? Could you imagine that, man?